What is going on YouTube? All right, this is a very epic day in a card collector's life. And that is the day he acquires a T206 Honus Wagner. That is a beautiful card, isn't it? And I got this card for a great price, actually. I paid $2. Now, obviously, anyone watching this video knew right off the bat that I do not own a real T206 Wagner. And honestly, if I did, I'd be way too excited to sit down and calmly make a video about it. But this is actually a very nice reprint. You can see the photo looks great. The font looks the way it should. And it doesn't say reprint anywhere on the card. You know, it's got the nice sweet caparel back. So this was a nice little reprint. And as my man Tops85401 once said, every true card collector should, at one point, get at least a reprint Honus Wagner T206. And I couldn't agree more. And so it's cool to have this in my collection, but I wanted to kind of use this as a segue to just talk about what this card means to us in the hobby. Now let me go back to the man himself, Honus Wagner. Honus Wagner was one of the biggest stars of the dead ball era. You know, he played from 1897 to 1917. You know, great player, lifetime batting average 327. You know, had over 700 stolen bases, had over 1,700 RBIs, over 3,400 hits. Inducted into the Hall of Fame 1936 with the original class with Ruth, Cobb, Johnson, and Mathewson, and at the time was regarded as the greatest shortstop of his time. You know, so he was obviously known as a great player, you know, to say the least. And this card, the reason it is so valuable for those who don't know is Honus Wagner did not want kids to have to buy tobacco products to get his card. So he had American Tobacco pull his image from the packs, which obviously limited production of this card. Now, there are some theorists who say, well, that could just be a story because Honus Wagner himself chewed tobacco and smoked cigars. But to me, honestly, that really doesn't prove anything, because just because you smoke cigars and chew tobacco doesn't necessarily mean you want kids to do that. There's another theory that said he was holding out for more money. Who knows what's true? I personally choose to believe that he didn't want kids to buy tobacco just because it sounds like such a nice story. So I'll choose to believe that, but really, who among us is going to know the truth now? Anybody from that era is long gone by now. But part of this card's value comes from its fame and popularity. Now, this card really started getting fame in the 80s when it was purchased by Wayne Gretzky and Bruce McNall, you know, and it became known, and is still known today as the McNall-Gretzky T206 Wagner. And that was, at the time, the highest graded Honus Wagner card when PSA graded that card an 8. And they had purchased it for $451,000. And over the years, the price kept going up and up until Ken Kendrick purchased it in, I believe, 2008 for $2.8 million. Now, most people watching this video know that Bill Mastro, who was the one who purchased the card in the mid-1980s, it was found recently, and he admitted that he had trimmed the edges of that card to get a higher grade out of it. So, realistically, that card that is considered the Mona Lisa of the hobby is an altered card. And even though it sits in a slab today that says PSA 8 near mint to mint, if it were to be reslabbed, it would grade a authentic, altered. And that's kind of sad, you know. But that the fame is a big part of the value, but also the rarity. Now, even though it is extremely rare, and according to majority of people I've heard say that there's usually between 50 and 70 of these cards known to exist, which is very rare, but it's not the rarest card out there. There are cards like the 1914 Baltimore News Babe Ruth, that there's only a few of those known to exist. Or the Ty Cobb T206 red background with the Ty Cobb backing. That now, even with that Lucky 7 find, there are only 22 of those that are known to exist. So that it's not the rarest card, but just the rarity of it and the fame behind it makes this the most desirable sports card of all time. And I think back to when Carl Horner took this portrait of Honus Wagner, were either of them thinking that, wow, this card is going to help Honus Wagner's legacy live on forever? Because it really does. I mean, the card truly supersedes the man, as great as the man was. And I mean, let's go back to the Dead Ball era for a little while. Was Honus Wagner that much better than guys like Napoleon Lajoie or Eddie Collins or Tris Speaker, names like that? Maybe, maybe not. But his name is a lot more well known because of this card. These other greats of the time, these other Hall of Famers of the Dead Ball era, most of them, with the exception of guys like Cy Young and Ty Cobb and stuff, are only known to baseball historians. But Honus Wagner is known to everybody. This image in front of you is known to everybody. It's so iconic. It's truly, they call it the Mona Lisa of trading cards, and it truly is. You may not have ever seen the Mona Lisa in person, but you know what it looks like. You may have never seen the Statue of Liberty in person, but you know what it looks like. And this card is a prime example of that. You may not know anything about Honus Wagner, but you've seen this card somewhere before. You know this image. It is a beautiful, iconic image on this card. And I remember being about 9 years old the first time I saw it. I remember a friend of mine in school had one of the early reprints of this card. And that was the first time I'd ever seen it, the first time I'd ever heard of Honus Wagner, and I've never forgotten the card or his name since. And it really, truly is iconic, and it really, in my opinion, is the reason that Honus Wagner's name is such a huge, especially in the hobby today. For all of us card collectors, this is something that we could only dream about, is possibly owning this card one day, which it's, I know it's never going to happen for me, and most guys kind of feel the same way. But it's just, like I said, for card collectors, this is the holy grail. It truly is. And it is the T206 Honus Wagner card. So I just wanted to make this little video, just talking about, giving you a little history on this card and what it would mean to me to have it. But unfortunately, this is probably the closest I will ever have to that card. This nice little reprint I happened to pick up. Okay, YouTube. Well, that's enough from me today. Hope you guys have a good day, a great night, and I will see you next time.